Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up this screen here. All right, we got a lot going on. The Vols just landed a power forward. I think you're going to be pleased with this addition to the basketball team. Also, HEUPEL discusses what he calls an NCAA. He calls it a speed bump. We're going to get into all things Vols. And let's start out with this good news about picking up this power forward out of Harvard, of all places. This is on Go Vols 247. It said Harvard transfer Chris Ludlam has committed to Tennessee basketball. He's 6'6" and 225 pounds. Now, this is a big dude, okay?
Okay.
So he's going to fit right into the SEC. You can't come in here and be bashful and be skinny and succeed in the SEC unless you're just a deadly shooter or something along those lines. So this guy's going to be able to go in there and handle the size of the SEC. And he initially was a 4-star top 150 player when he came out of a high school, and he was actually the Gatorade Player of the Year out of Massachusetts. So, you know, he's a good player, and he scored almost 20 points a game for Harvard. And here's his stats: 18.8 points a game, 8.5 rebounds, etc. And, you know, pretty solid shooter. And I realize, you know, scoring 18 points a game in the Ivy League, which he was all conference, is not the same as playing the SEC, but I think he'll transition quite well, especially being a senior. He's used to playing, he's used to scoring, and at his size, I think he'll fit in just fine. And as you folks know, we just got Jordan Gainey in as well, who's a really good shooting guard at 6'4". So these last two transfers, these are nice pickups. You know, both of them are scorers, and both have succeeded at their level. So, you know, they're going to have to transition to the SEC, which is tougher. But they're both proficient scorers, and that's what we need. You know, we need shooters, and we need guys that can put the ball in the bucket. Kind of feels like Coach Barnes is sort of transitioning a little bit more towards offense. Of course, you know, he's all about defense. But, look, you got to score a little bit more. And even though we were number one team in defense last year, you know, we couldn't score. And losing Ziegler hurt us a lot, too. Lost our point guard and another shooter. And here's a story on Josh HEUPEL. He actually got questioned a little bit about the NCAA by reporters, and he discussed it. This is by Mike Organ of the Nashville Tennessean. Of course, it shows pictures of Jeremy Pruitt, the NCAA, et cetera. And we'll go to Twitter here in a little bit and start looking at some of this stuff. Here you can see Josh HEUPEL called the NCAA Committee on Infractions. He said that he considered it a speed bump, and he's monitoring it from afar. And we know of the 18 charges, 17 of them involved Jeremy Pruitt, and only one involved the university. And HEUPEL said, obviously, I'm paying close attention on the back end, HEUPEL said during a Big Orange Caravan in Nashville. He said, I really believe this is a speed bump. I feel like we're continuing to handle it the right way. Our administration has been forthright. They found it. They gave it to the NCAA. They've been nothing but cooperative the entire time. And we've got several reporters that are really doing a good job covering this. Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel is one. And here's where Adam Sparks says, Tennessee says Jeremy Pruitt and his staff secretly committed NCAA recruiting violations while being trained on the same rules they were breaking. And I believe Brent Hubbs has also been covering this. Let's take a look at his Twitter account, see what he's saying. And Brent Hubbs is with VolQuest, and I really like VolQuest. I always enjoy seeing Austin Price. It'll be Austin, Brent, Hubbs, and then you'll have Eric Kane, and Rob Lewis does basketball, and he's very informative as well. That's one of my favorites out there, and there's so many good ones, man. And those four guys, they know what they're talking about. Let's see what Brent says on his Twitter account. And here they go. There's Philip Fulmer back there. Let's see. I'm not sure who this dude is right here. Could be an attorney. Let's see. There's Josh HEUPEL talking about transfer portal needs. I feel like we need some O-line help. It just, you know, that spring game, we had some problems with protection. And, you know, look, we had a great recruiting class last year. I was thrilled with it, with the exception of one area, and that was the offensive line. I tell you, I'm going to sit here and talk about this for a minute. From watching that spring game and watching how these guys move, we are starting to get some elite athletes back here at UT. You know, HEUPEL, what he's done with really guys that are solid athletes, you know, but a lot of these guys weren't like super elite. They were really good, and he managed to win 11 games last year with them. And really, man, I'm telling you, what he did with the talent level that he had was really remarkable. But now he's bringing in some of these really super high-end talent guys. First of all, Ncaa, if you watched him playing quarterback, you can just see it. The way he moves, the way he throws that ball, it's another level. It reminds me a lot of Bryce Young of Alabama. He's got just a taller version of it. He's got that sort of fluid movement, and when he throws it, he can be quite accurate. So I was real pleased there. But then you see these other players like Arian Carter. You can tell that guy's next level linebacker, just a super talented guy, which explains why I think Saban was in his living room the week that he committed to the Vols, trying to get him to come to Bama. And I think that was as much he wanted his talent, but more than anything, he wanted to keep us from getting him. So, you know, that's another guy that I think is going to be really good. Then you've got Cam Seldon, who he's going to be special. You know, he's on another level talent-wise. They had him as a 4-star. He is clearly a 5-star, and we're going to see that this year. And then you've got some guys on the edge like Caleb Herring and David Hobbs, the 5-star. And across the board, we're just going to see some different level talent guys. And they're going to start showing themselves as freshmen. Now, we won't see them a ton this first year. We'll see flashes, and they'll help us. But then in 2024, you're going to see them a lot, and it's going to elevate us up into that Alabama, Georgia area where we need to be. They'll still have more talent than us, but we'll be able to start really competing with them as far as talent. Right now, we're having to do it with scheme, which is what Josh Heupel does. He takes his players that might be less talented and competes with you or beats you. And then if he took your players, like Alabama's or Georgia's, he'd win the national title every year, I think. We're in a kind of a unique situation. We're building up that talent, especially on defense where we need it the most. And I think we're going to really start seeing flashes of it this year where we're matching up really well. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that for a minute. And let's see, on Britt Hubb's Twitter, talking about Santiago Vescovius, really happy he came back. And there's Chris Ledlum where he committed. There's Greg Sankey. Greg Sankey's right in the middle of this thing, man. He is really involved with this hearing, which I think is significantly positive for the Vols. I think he's kind of protecting the Vols a little bit because it does affect the SEC so much.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
You know, if they did do a bowl ban, that would hurt the SEC, and I don't think Greg Sankey wants any part of that. And there you are seeing Greg Sankey with Danny White, which I think is very significant. And there they are talking, walking together. So the hearing's got one more day left. This is day 2, and they're probably, you know, as of right now, they're probably about halfway through. They're probably on lunch break. But I do feel better about it. Like I said, I heard Jimmy Himes yesterday talking about he does not think the bowl ban will occur. He thinks it's going to be about scholarships. I hope that's the case. With Greg Sankey there, I think that helps us because Sankey does not like bowl bans. He doesn't want any part of that. He thinks you should punish the coaches, not the student athletes that are there now. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So anyway, we did get the good news, getting that power forward. The NCAA marches along. You know, we'll keep abreast of that, obviously. And I think that Heupel has taken this in stride and seeing it for what it is. It is a speed bump. It's a pretty good size one, but hopefully it's nothing that's going to be a long-term problem. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's me know to continue to cover the Vols. And if you've not subscribed, it's right here on the left. Just hit that little button. Costs you nothing. Helps me out. I would appreciate it. And right over here is my most recent video. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.